I'm an investment director at AIIM, which stands for African Infrastructure Investment Managers. So we invest equity in renewable projects in terms of the energy space. So mostly IPPs initially, and more we're investing in C&I platforms across the continent. Listen, we've invested in close to 30 projects in terms of solar and wind and thermal initially. In South Africa, we're the largest equity investor in the energy space. We've also invested in Nigeria, Mali, Ghana in terms of energy. So we're looking to invest in renewables outside of South Africa now. The types of projects we're invested in is wind and solar in South Africa. We're the main shareholder in Anthem, which you may know, which is over 2.5 gigawatts of renewable energy. We're the main shareholder in NOAA, Net Zero Africa, which is an energy aggregator here in South Africa as well. So big player in South Africa and looking elsewhere as well to see how we can replicate platforms in the renewable energy space. Listen, initially it was only PV, right? And we've done quite a bit of that. We've invested in wind as well. Now we're looking into BESS because storage is essential when you talk about renewables. We're looking at on-grid and behind the meter as well. Mostly in South Africa because we think that's where it's more mature and that's where the opportunities are at the moment. But there are some interesting projects coming up elsewhere on the continent as well, especially in the SAP, given that's a growing market. Listen, I think it's all a question of track records and behavior that investors can see countries doing the right thing. So consistency. In South Africa, for example, we see that the REAP program has been very successful. It shows from policy to implementation what should be done right. Some other countries are doing it as well now. Zambia is liberalizing, opening up because of their issues with the drought. If you take a country like Côte d'Ivoire, for the past 30 years, I know that's my region, so I use that as an example a lot. First IPP was in 97. Since then, there's been quite a few. So they've shown consistency in terms of implementation, payments, etc. So that breeds interest from investors and competition, which brings down tariff because the returns go down. So we like to partner with strong teams, people who know the sector well, who've been around on the continent and can understand how regulation works, understand the technical side of the project, and can bring all of that together to make a successful project that can be built on time, on budget, operate as planned, and get paid. So I think risk is a multi-layered onion, if we can call it that. First layer is, of course, the macro, which you have to get through. So we kind of filter countries around that first. Currency, regulatory environment and independence, that type of thing. And then we look at the fundamentals of the project itself. And, third layer is the team. Do we have the right team, the people who are savvy enough that when things go wrong, they know what to do to get things back on track? So that's how we analyze the different layers of risk, and we price all of that in when we're looking at the returns we would expect from a project. So the project panel is about attracting capital for energy projects on the continent. I think my main message is that we're moving away from public offtake IPPs, more towards platforms, more towards C&I, so multi-client, multi-countries if possible, so that we diversify risk and we improve the quality of offtake for our projects. That also improves bankability and speed of execution of different projects. And for us as investors with limited life funds, that's important to be able to start and finish a project relatively quickly. So I talked about Anthem earlier, I talked about NOAA. Those are two of the platforms we developed in SA, where we've got a portfolio of projects that are generating. In the case of NOAA, we're aggregating generation on the one hand, clients on the other, and wheeling on the grid to get the power to them. We're trying to do the same thing elsewhere on the continent. So looking at companies that have started, serving C&I customers maybe not just in one jurisdiction, but several. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. So we've got two funds that could be useful for sponsors in the rest of Africa. One new fund that was set up late last year, which is called ATAF, African Transition Acceleration Fund, which is an earlier stage fund to support developers to grow their pipeline. And then our flagship fund, which is A4, that can invest at COD or operational platforms to help them grow. Well, at the moment, I think it's very much a focus for us, especially. In previous vintages, we looked at thermal generation, etc. At the moment, we're looking really at green generation, number one, and all of the ancillary services around green power. So that would be EVs, that could be ethanol production, or let's say agri-power, if I can call it that. So all those services that are around green energy and renewable energy, that's really our focus at the moment with the two funds that I mentioned. Oh, yeah.